What a fantastic place for a dinner. The last time I was here was less exciting than the Digital Commonwealth. The last time I was here, I'd been invited by someone who was working for me at one of my previous startups, who was a Freemason. And we were having a Freemasons dinner here, which was thrilling for about 5 minutes. And then I got extremely bored, because it turns out that Freemasonry have a plot to take over the world by giving endless speeches to each other. But this hall is magnificent and is testament to one of the most important economic hubs the world has ever seen, London City. And what made London so special, probably more than anything else, was a deep and abiding sense of sovereignty. I mean, even the Queen needs an invitation to come here. And a fundamentalist belief, a fanatical belief in private property. Now, I've been in Bitcoin for close to, well, over 13 years now. My first Bitcoin is having its bar mitzvah. And I was drawn to it because what it offered was, for the first time, completely disintermediated property rights. The ability for me to own something that no one could take from me, or even necessarily know that I had, something which I required no one's permission to transact in, truly self-sovereign property rights. Now, just a little bit about myself. I grew up in apartheid South Africa. My family were a bunch of radicals, and my uncles were forced out of South Africa in the middle of the night because the apartheid government was after them, because they had blown up a train station, which the apartheid government frowned upon that kind of thing. And so between the ages of 9 and 11, I was smuggling Kruger rands, gold coins, out of South Africa to get money to my family. So I kind of grew up with this sense of ultimate freedom, really. All freedom rests on the ability to have private property. And so that was what drew me into Bitcoin initially. And then over the years, I watched as so much of this community, what started out as a really ideological, really activist community, focused on freedom, focused on building technological solutions, morphed into this giant, phenomenal, amazing, world-beating casino of meme coins and NFTs and shit coins and, excuses. And initially, I found it very difficult to deal with that. But at some point, and I was in an office not far from here in Shoreditch that I was actually renting from Barclays Bank, an old, decrepit loft. And I was late at night at my desk one day, and suddenly it struck me that actually I'd always expected that the first use case of the Internet of Money would be a casino, just like the first use case of the Internet of Data was porn. But I hoped that we would be able to move past that we would mature as an industry. And I'm determined to play a role in making that happen. And so my sense is that ultimately and fundamentally what this industry is and what will make it great and what will allow it to be world-changing in the same way that London City was world-changing is doubling down on a dedication to stubborn self-sovereignty and a focus an unbending focus on property rights. And no system has generated the ability to have truly sovereign, self-secure property rights in the way that Bitcoin has. But as I mentioned on the panel, Bitcoin has been trapped. There has been limited ability to build on Bitcoin. Either facilitate decentralized transactions and asset management to Bitcoin itself, or utilize that incredible ledger that is the Bitcoin chain for other kinds of assets. And so we've sort of been stuck with Ethereum and Solana. These are very ephemeral, or perhaps I should say ethereal systems, which can only really support the casino use cases. And that is why I'm extremely proud that over the last few months, we've managed, after 4 years of very, very hard work, to do what people have thought was impossible, to be able to introduce new cryptography into Bitcoin without forking Bitcoin, so that now you can take any computation, you can prove it to the Bitcoin ledger, you can post ZK proofs of any computation, and now you can issue any asset on Bitcoin, real-world assets, all the way down to meme coins. You can build any smart contract or any chain and anchor it to Bitcoin. And what we started to see are more and more chains which used to think of themselves as competitors. And here we've got in the room with us Cardano, one of the largest chains out there, led by people who said that they were going to destroy Bitcoin, now coming back to Bitcoin because they realize that Bitcoin itself has changed. Bitcoin can now be inviting and open to all developers and all users and all use cases. And this is a huge change in what Bitcoin can do, but also what crypto can do, how useful we can make crypto. It offers us the opportunity to mature our industry beyond the casino and build a new economy, an economy that looks like ours. And so I'll just finish up and say this. I think that we are the future in many ways, more ways than we realize. One example of it is, if you think about the crypto industry, we operate in the way that the rest of the world is going to operate. We were fully remote before COVID. We operate and hire people from around the world. Our industry is truly global. It is not built and located in London or San Francisco or Beijing. It is truly global. It's the first truly global industry. And what allows that to happen is the fact that if I want to transact between two people, in Nigeria and Japan, I can do that with Bitcoin, or I can do it with USDT. If I want to use a service, I don't need to have a company in Argentina sign an agreement with a company in Singapore which is going to be governed by the courts of law in London. I can just pass a token between those two, and that token represents my ability to access a new service. Our own industry eats its own dog food and has created a truly borderless and global economy. The entire economy is going to look like our economy eventually. But we're sort of doing it manually. We need to build the tools that will make that possible. And so the fact that we can now, I think, for the first time, unify around a ledger which really the entire world trusts. We can bring the culture that we've built, of the way that we work, and truly dissolve global borders and barriers to trade. And we can introduce a level of private property that the people who have eaten in this halls for the last, 400 years couldn't even possibly imagine, fills me with a sense of great optimism. We're bringing to the world the tools, an economy which is going to allow greater freedom, greater prosperity, and greater abundance than at any past point in human history. And so with that, I'd like to thank you for your time and suggest you all go back to the abundance on your plates. Thank you very much.